Mark enjoys gardening a lot, and one day as he took care of his flower bed, he discovered a shining, strange-looking coin. Mark had not taken his eye off the coin he had found multiple hours ago by now. He had never seen anything like this before, and when he started searching online, he also came up with nothing at all. His first thought was to bring in an expert. There were lots of people knowledgeable about historical coins and other artifacts. One of these experts managed to sound very interested and curious about the coin, but also told Mark that he would not be able to help him. He had a busy couple of days ahead anyway, and decided to go to bed to get some sleep. In the middle of the night, Mark shot up out of bed when he heard some strange sounds coming from his garden. It sounded like someone was digging. He rubbed the sleep out of his eyes, switched on the flashlight on his phone, and looked out of his bedroom window. When he screamed at the man, demanding an explanation, he started to run away. The man was faster than Mark was, but luckily for him, there were a couple of other people still on the streets. Two men who were maybe on their way to a bar decided to grab the person who had destroyed his roses. Then Mark saw that the man was actually more like a boy, not a day older than 16. He looked as scared as could be and was begging for forgiveness. The boy started telling Mark that he was living in the poorest neighborhood of the city and that this evening a rich-looking man had come by to ask if somebody wanted to do a job for him. But there was also something that quickly clicked in his head. The expert who had sounded interested but eventually did not want to help him. This had to be the man who gave the boy the assignment. After the unsettling incident with the boy, Mark was filled with a restless determination. He knew the odd-sounding expert was behind the mess in his garden. Tapping into his network of friends and acquaintances, Mark began his hunt for this mysterious expert. Hours on the phone and several cups of coffee later, he began to see a path forming. Most were innocuous, but one in particular stood out. Dr. Samuel Bennett, a name Mark vaguely remembered from their phone call. Mark's decision was made. He would confront Dr. Bennett directly. The next day, he neatly dressed, taking the coin with him, safely nestled in a small velvet pouch. Upon arriving, the grand facade of the museum transported Mark back in time. The huge stone columns, the intricate carvings, and the massive wooden doors whispered stories of bygone eras. Mark's footsteps echoed in the vast foyer. Rounding a corner, he nearly collided with Dr. Samuel Bennett. Their eyes met, tension palpable. Bennett straightened his tie, trying to mask his surprise. "Mr. Mark, isn't it?" he replied with feigned casualness. "I'm not sure what you're referring to. Have you come to admire our newest exhibit, Mark's Patience Thinned? Don't play games with me. You know exactly what I'm talking about." Mark took a breath, laying out the chain of events: the unexpected phone call, the interest in the coin, the boy's intrusion into his garden. Mark braced himself for a confession. Instead, Dr. Bennett surprised him. "How about a collaboration?" he proposed. "Your discovery, my expertise. Together, we might unravel a mystery bigger than either of us imagined." Mark was taken aback. "Why should I trust you?" he asked, suspicion evident in his tone. Bennett replied, "Because, Mark, while our introductions may have been less than ideal, our goals are aligned." Mark extended a cautious hand. "All right, Doctor Bennett, we collaborate. But at the first sign of deception, our deal is off." The historian nodded, grasping Mark's hand firmly. Hours turned into days. Mark's fingers brushed an old map, revealing notes about hidden wealth. The subtle references were sparse but pointed towards an old legend of treasure buried deep. They'd follow the trail, wherever it led. The morning sun found Mark and Dr. Bennett standing at the entrance of the old city square. They were driven by a combination of anticipation and uncertainty. Their research pointed towards an ancient, dilapidated fountain, believed to house a coin much like the one Mark had found. Despite hours of meticulous searching, the fountain seemed to hold no secrets. But as the light waned, a faint inscription on its moss-covered side caught Mark's eye. Guided by the manuscript, their journey crisscrossed the city. They trekked through bustling town squares where ancient tales merged with daily life, and into shadowed alleyways that had witnessed centuries pass silently by. While delving deeper into the city's mysteries, the feeling of being watched grew ever more present. One evening, as Mark left an old bookstore, shadowy figures confronted him. The treasure wasn't just a historical pursuit, it was now a matter of safety. Their search introduced them to MS. Loretta, a local historian with knowledge of the city's underground network. With a glint in her eye, she shared tales of forgotten tunnels and chambers. The weight of anticipation pressed heavily upon them as they stood before the vault. Its old, rusted door hinted at stories untold. The vault creaked open, revealing not the shimmer of gold or glint of jewels, but rather stacks upon stacks of yellowed documents, dusty books, and worn photographs. While rummaging through the trove, Mark's fingers brushed against a metallic disc. Pulling it out, he discovered another Soviet coin. Unlike the others, this one was intricately designed, with symbols and inscriptions foreign to him. As Dr. Bennett caught sight of it, Mark noticed a flicker of recognition in his eyes. Hesitantly, Dr. Bennett began his tale, revealing the coin's dark history. It wasn't just a relic, but a token from covert operations during the tensest periods of the Cold War. And the realization was staggering. His backyard, where he'd played as a child and gardened as an adult, was ground that had once belonged to a figure deeply embroiled in international subterfuge. Working tirelessly, they compiled a comprehensive report detailing the coins, their origins, and the broader historical context. It wasn't just about the thrill of treasure hunting anymore. It was about preserving a narrative that had nearly been lost to time. With anticipation building, they scheduled a press conference, eager to share their profound findings with a world that deserved to know. The news broke like wildfire. Every major news outlet, from television stations to renowned newspapers, covered Mark and Dr. Bennett's astonishing discovery. The museum, where their quest had taken a significant turn, now became the permanent home of the coins and historical documents. Mark's footsteps led him back to his garden, the very place that had set everything in motion. He knelt beside his roses, the earth beneath his fingers now a canvas of countless stories. Each bloom and bud seemed to whisper tales from the annals of history. With a contented sigh, he realized his home was not just a sanctuary of nature, but a keeper of secrets and revelations.